Hello, everybody. It's me, your host, Amy Singleton. I just wanted to hop on here before we start this 100th episode of Queen's Lead to say thank you. Thank you for being here with us through this entire journey of Queen's Lead. Thank you for being a queen that leads or a queen that wants to lead. I had no idea when I started this journey that I would learn so much about how to lead myself. And I've learned that from each and every one of my guests and from all of my listeners. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you tuning in and leaning in to figuring out how we can all be better leaders. If there's anything that has become apparent to me in the last year or two of doing this podcast, it's that we have to lean back in to the little girl, that little princess, before we all became queens of our lives, trying to run around and take care of the kids and the job and the bills and the groceries and the dinner and the husbands and all of the things that we have to do. We had dreams. We had goals. We had ambitions and aspirations of what little girl Amy and little girl you wanted to be. So as you're thinking about your leadership, I encourage you to go back to that little girl and have a discussion with her and find out, are you on the path you thought you were going to be on? And if you're not on a path that you're proud of, turn around and go down a different road, queen. You deserve it. We've only got one life. And so here's to another 100 episodes of Queen's Lead. Here's to learning to be better leaders together. And here's to leading ourselves out of that elementary school or that preschool class where we used to be with those big ambitions and aspirations. Let's lead her to the here and now. Let's lead her to today so that we can be better leaders of others. Thank you all for being my listeners. Thank you to all of my guests and my future guests and listeners. We love you. We support you. You are worth it. And you are a leader wherever you are. So be a leader worth following. Wait, are you going to count me in? Whatever. I'm just going to go for it. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. And they're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast.
Now here's your host, Amy Singleton, the queen of realness, leading conversations about business, life, and the real shit you want to know.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and today we are joined by powerhouse Colleen Biggs. This woman has done it all. She is the leader of the LEAP community. She is a #1 international best-selling author, ×5, I believe, voted local business person of the year several times, top women business leaders, CEO of this LEAP community, which is helping people to find their path. Welcome, Colleen. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Amy. I'm so happy to be here. It's really awesome to be on other people's podcasts. You know, they talk about using other people's money, to buy investments. And since I have a podcast, it's always so great to be on other platforms. So thank you for this.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your podcast.
Yeah. So I was a corporate dropout. I retired, I say corporate dropout because I did. I pretty much dropped out in 2018. And I worked with entrepreneurs the last 20 years of my career. So I really wanted to build a community for small business owners to be able to be supported in a nurturing environment. I found that all of the clients I worked with, they built a community and were able to support each other through that community. So I built that community for two reasons. One, so they could be supported and connected, but two, for visibility. If you don't tell people about you, Amy, nobody knows that you exist. They just have no idea that you're out there, right? So
that's right.
I build it for that. And the women come because they love the visibility opportunities and everything they get. And back in 2019, I remember when I was launching a bunch of things, I was on a Voice America interview. They had brought us in after we did a PR release and asked us if we'd like to be interviewed. And then they asked me if I would lead their empowered female station that they were starting.
Nice.
I was like, wow, yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know how to be a radio show host. No, I don't know how to do that at all. That wasn't a skill
Yeah.
set of mine. So I was like, no, thanks. And they're like, well, we have like 3.1 million listeners. I was like, okay, where do I sign? This sounds great. So,
Wow.
I kind of fell into that. And ever since that point, I love interviewing people. And I've taken that to a whole different level where I interview them live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. I shout them out everywhere. We put them in our newsletter. I love to just spotlight other people. And I have found that if you do that, it just comes back to you tenfold. So I'm never out there like sell, sell, sell. That's not my shtick. I promote other people. I put them in the spotlight. I create large events that bring women together to put them into the spotlight. And then it always just benefits me on the back end. So it's really, truly that like serve others type of mentality. Yeah.
Wow, that's so incredible. You're absolutely right. But I know starting out in business, sometimes it's hard to talk about yourself and get that spotlight on yourself. So it's really nice to have someone that's willing to do that for you
Yeah.
until you get kind of your grips about yourself and are comfortable doing that moving forward.
Yeah, let me share this quick story. So, one of the women in our community, she signed up to do a podcast interview. She's never done one. And when it came close to the time, she emailed me and said, I don't think I can do this. I don't really have a story to tell. And my heart just broke. In that moment, I was like, we all have a story to tell. So I wrote her back and I said, we all have a story to tell. I will guide you through the questions and the answers. I promise this will be the best interview you've ever done and you'll feel safe. I would never ask you something that you couldn't answer. And she said, okay, I'll do it. After we did the podcast interview, she said, I'm so glad I did this. That was the best thing. I feel so much more confident about myself now. So I think we just have to take the leap, right? That's the name of my podcast. That's why I named it that. It's why my programs are named Leap. I'm known as the lady, with Leap. And I think it really is because we need to kind of get out of our comfort zone and take a leap, and we don't know where we're going to land. But when you have good people around you that support you and aren't looking really to like put you down so they look better. I talk about being around people that build you up versus breaking you down. And for me, that's another reason why I built the community and why I have those people in my life. And the more that we get out there and the more that we show up authentically as ourselves. So that means we're not expecting anyone else to judge us. We're not judging ourselves. We're just showing up as who we are. If that's not good enough for someone, oh well. You're just showing up the best that you can be in that moment and yourself. And so that to me builds confidence the more that we do that.
Yeah, 100%. And the ones that do judge you for that or whatever, or have
It's
some kind
their
of chip about
problem.
it, they're not your people, right? They're not people you want to be associated with anyway. That mindset shift took me forever to get over in my head when we were first starting out. Tell us about the corporate dropout, though. I want to hear like your backstory, your story. You have that story, right? Tell us what was your experience in corporate? And then like, what was that leap when you finally dropped out or leapt out?
Yeah, I had some really great mentors and sponsors. So they're very different things. Mentors are people that give you advice, that guide you, that, are really giving you constructive feedback. And for me, I got lucky because the CEO of my company was a male and he took me under his wing as a mentor. And then my boss, was a sponsor for me. And a sponsor is the person talking about you, advocating for you in another room when you're not there. And when you have those people on your team, you can go far and you learn a lot. And I loved it to have those types of men in my corner, which was really funny because I really looked up to those two individuals a lot. I've written about them in my books that I've written. I don't know if they know the biggest impact they had on my life, even though I told them as much as possible. So
Yeah.
when my CEO that I worked with retired, I did not know he was retiring. He didn't tell me because he knew it would just break me apart when I found out. I'm like that kind of a very sensitive person because I was very good friends with him and his wife. And for him to leave the company when I felt like he had really turned the company around in a way where I felt like he drew lines in the company that really helped the company grow and not have like a limp backbone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean any disrespect to the CEOs that work there, but the previous CEO was the CEO when I came into the company. His son wound up being my boss for a long time when I first came in the company, and we did not get along at all.
Oh.
He was newer to his
Mhm.
position, and it was given to him. And
Yeah.
I struggle with that a little bit. And so we did not get along for a long time. He wound up being the CEO after the CEO that I worked with left.
Okay.
And I just knew that that was going to be an issue for me. We had mended some things over the years and kind of got along, but I still did not see myself growing any more at the company to where I'd gotten to. I mean, I was already, reporting to him. So
Yeah.
I didn't really see any more growth. This was kind of like that glass ceiling at the company. And there were some women at the company that were in executive positions like I were that were not very nice. I was tired of the clicks. I was
Yeah.
tired of playing in the sandbox. I was
Mhm.
tired of the kind of backstabbing that was going on. And I felt very unwelcome sometimes. And I was very good at my job. I
Yeah.
was very productive. I made a lot of money for the company. And that was a threat, I think, to most of them. But I was
Yeah.
just tired of, I felt like rules were rules, right? And so everyone needs to follow those. We report to who we report to. If you don't like it, whatever. But there's always some people in the office that there's special favors for. And so
Oh,
I would
yeah.
get calls all the time on the road from the CEO asking me about this or that. And I'm like, well, why don't you just have them get a hold of me? Just have them call me directly. Well, they're afraid to call you. I'm like, what? Like people would say I was unapproachable. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I am the most loving, caring individual. Like I've told everyone, I don't have a mean bone in my body. Unless you threaten my grandchildren or my children, then you'll see a very
Yep.
mean person, right?
That's right.
I don't have a mean bone in my body. I am a very kind and generous person. And I have mentored a lot of people. So
Yeah.
that wasn't my problem. That was their problem. They were intimidated by me. So they
Yeah.
made it my problem. And then the
Yeah.
CEO made it my problem. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So these things just kind of kept going on and on. And I
Yeah.
had decided at that point, this isn't for me anymore. I don't want to be at the office. I don't want to play in this sandbox. It was very hard for me to leave because all of these clients that I had opened their businesses with them, built relationships with, I knew their kids. When I would travel, I would stay at their houses. Like I became very good friends with
Wow.
them. Leaving
Wow.
them was like, how do I do that? How do I
Yeah.
leave all of these clients? And I kind of had a feeling like they need me. And I was this really great bridge between them and, kind of the corporate setting. And
Yeah.
I just said to myself, I need to do what makes me happy and I'm not happy. And I was literally coming home crying a lot, drinking a lot of wine. I was not happy. And I decided I needed to change my life. And so I decided to take that leap and jump out, not knowing where I was going to make money, how I was going to do it. I just had faith in myself that I could do anything. And
Yes.
and I
Did you guys
believed
hear that? Faith in herself that she could do anything. That's that queen leadership. Oh, I love
I
it.
love it.
Yes.
I need a
Yeah.
crown. Where the freaking
Yes,
crap
you
is my
do.
crown?
It's on Amazon, girl. It's just
Yeah,
waiting for you.
I know. I need to go get one.
Oh, yes,
So
you do.
yeah, so that's, when you get fed up enough and you know it's time,
Mhm.
like I felt like God was just pulling me and he finally had to knock me over the head,
Yeah.
for me to get out. And honestly, I was scared. I had some really vulnerable moments. I was in the fetal position once in my room crying because I didn't know what was wrong with me and why I felt that way. I think it had all kind of built up, like maybe I couldn't do it or make
Yeah,
it.
for
And,
sure.
I just kept pushing forward, and little by little, I would do what I needed to do to build the business. And then it just, took off. And I started getting clients, and I hired a business coach, and I was running retreats, and things were, going really well. I think we just have to keep pushing the ball up the hill for
Yeah.
a while until it starts rolling back down the other side. And many women quit on the uphill push. A
Mhm.
lot of them,
Yeah.
they just expect, oh, well, I should just be able to start making a ton of money right away. And it's like, well, that's
Yeah.
not generally how it works, but you
Right.
should be making cash. Absolutely. So if they focus on the things that we talk about and truly focus and work to bring people to their events or to whatever they're doing, their products, their services, they'll make the money. Usually
Yeah.
they fail somewhere in there where they get scared and don't want to sell or don't think that they can deliver on what they
Yeah.
say they're going to do. And the truth is we can always deliver.
Yeah.
And that's just a worthiness. That's kind of a worthiness thing. And
100%.
I believed in myself. And so I have to hold a lot of women for a while, kind of lend them my wings, until they
Yeah.
believe in themselves. That happens a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Borrow your confidence. I do
Yeah.
that all the time for people. Let them borrow some of mine or borrow some of theirs. If they're
Yeah.
confident in it, then you
I
should be
love that.
confident in it. Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think it's so important for women who are starting a business on their own to build a tribe around them? Because I know for myself, I isolated for a good little while when I
Yeah.
first started. And I think a
And
lot of
what
women
happened
do.
when you did that? What happened when
Well,
you isolated?
oh my gosh, I felt lonely. I didn't feel I had complete imposter syndrome. I wasn't meeting anyone. I wasn't making any sales. No one knew what I was doing because I wasn't telling them because I was too afraid. I mean, everything you said, it's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so eager for you to share, like, oh my gosh, you guys do better than I did. Listen to Colleen right here because I
Yeah.
made that mistake, but I quickly resolved it.
Yeah, I see a lot of women do like that ready, aim, 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 right? They're in the background, like building their website, changing their logo colors, changing their brand colors, doing all of this stuff. And I'm like, nobody cares about any of that. I promise you. You need to get your ass out there and you
Yeah.
need to promote, 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 meet people, meet people, meet people, meet people. Just all I did was networking because in the beginning, you have more time than money.
That's
So
right.
network, 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 network. You meet people that introduce you to other people, and your days are just spent talking to people. Then they introduce you to someone with a podcast. Now you're on podcast. Then they
Yeah.
introduce you to someone that has a summit. Now you're on a speaking summit, right? And little by little,
Mhm.
all these people that you meet, you're building your newsletter list, right? You're building your
Yeah.
email list. And so that's what I did. Here's what I know. It is so important to have people around you because one, they offer opportunities for you, they open
Mhm.
doors for you, they support you, you feel comforted. And I'm saying like you're scared, right? So you feel
Yeah.
comforted, you believe in yourself because they're building you up, they're not breaking you down. I call it social capital. Who in
Mhm.
your circle is depositing into your social capital? We have to
Yeah.
construct our social circles with people that fuel us, not break us down. And if you have people that are breaking you down, you need to get rid of them and out of your life. I don't
That's
care
right.
who they are, because my mother is no longer in my life because of that problem. It's
Really?
my mom is very much a victim. It's very negative around her. Everything is horrible, right? The sky is falling, or someone's sick, or they're on a million pills.
Mm.
I don't believe in that life at all. And
Mm.
so we have nothing to talk about. And she can't accept a lot of things in my life. And it's like, well, then you can't be in my life, right? My
Yeah.
family is very important to me. But if that's the case, then with their, I can't have that. Like,
Yeah.
it breaks you down. It literally does. Like, you get sucked into this hole and you almost feel like dirty. Like, oh, I got to
Mhm.
get away from that person. They're so freaking negative. I don't
Yes.
hang around with any of those people. And when I do happen to fall in a circle of women that are judgy, clicky, and negative, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never going back to that place again. It doesn't
100%.
feel good, right? So
No.
these women that are depositing into your social capital, they give you opportunities freely.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
why it's so important. So now you feel like, oh, I have people helping me. And now I feel like I'm getting a little momentum going, you know? It's so
Yeah.
important. You cannot do it alone. Yeah.
And you're finally getting support. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up about your family, because so many people I know are the only or the first entrepreneur or first business owner in their family.
Yeah.
I am as well. And although I get along with my family, they really struggle to understand where I'm at, and what the challenges that we face. And it was very surprising to me to find out that the people closest to me and friends and family were not necessarily, not because they didn't want to, but because they just don't understand the ones who supported me the most. The ones who've supported me the most have been absolute strangers, people I've met in groups
Mhm.
like you're talking about, the people in my mastermind group, the people that are trying to do the same thing I'm doing, and the
Mhm.
people who have aligned values with me.
Yeah.
Those are the people and so don't be surprised if your entire circle of friends completely changes within the
Yeah.
first year of starting a business. Am I right?
It really is.
Like mine did.
Yeah, so we're like onions. And I always like to explain it like your friends around you love you with the onion that you are. And when layers start dropping off and you change, they're clinging to those layers because they want you to be the same person. And as you grow and evolve, you change, which
Yeah.
is a good thing. They
You
do not want to
changed.
change. Yeah, they
Right.
want to stay the same. And because
Yeah.
you're not still believing in those same things they do, they can't relate to you anymore. And so then they start judging and start saying you've changed and all this stuff. And it's like, especially as a mom, I'm a mom, okay?
Mhm.
Several children. I would never, ever, ever not want my child to grow and learn and become a better version of themselves every single day. And so to
Right.
me, the more you change, the better that is because it's bettering your life and you're happier and whatever that looks like, right?
Yeah.
Whatever your hobbies are, whatever you're doing for personal development, I want to support you along the way because children pass through your life. They don't become your life. And I would never want them to
Mhm.
be the old version of the person I knew. I want
Yeah.
them to become the best version for themselves and what make them happy. And so
Right.
I just can't comprehend why a mom wouldn't want that for a child. So a tribe is everything. It will break you or it will make you.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
absolutely will. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
What do you see? A couple more questions. This time's going so much faster than I expected with you. I feel like we're so on the same wavelength. I completely
I
identify with
love
everything you're
that.
saying.
Except you wear amazing red lipstick and I don't. That's the only difference. And
Well,
your
you
hair is
get to be
red
the
and mine is
blonde.
blonde.
Oh my gosh, does it look red? It's dark
Is it
brown.
brown?
Oh gosh, I need to fix my lighting. I can't be a redhead. I'm already feisty enough.
Oh, I love redheads. So whatever,
I do
girl.
too. No, I love it. I wish I was. I should maybe look into dyeing it that color. Um, what do you find to be the biggest mistake women make when they start out with a new business?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about it. They are so background. Like, I have to have my courses made because someone told me I did. I have to have my website perfect. I have launched six-figure like legs of my business, no website, nowhere they can go look at it or check it out. I did a Zoom call, they joined or they talked to me and they're like, that sounds great. And I send them a link and they enroll. And then I follow it up with an email and tell them, okay, here's all the stuff involved. Here's what we're going to do. I do that with my masterminds. When I released my masterminds, I didn't have anything made. Today, I still do not have it anywhere on my website because it's a very personal thing. I take 4 to 6 women a year. That's it. I do not want anybody coming into that and just signing up for it where I'm like, oh, you're not the right person for this mastermind, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they make a huge mistake by doing what everybody else tells them to do. That's the number one thing. Oh, you got to make a course, or you got to get a book, or you got to do this, and you got to do that. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. I tell every single female that I work with, your number one thing is to make money. I want you to just start getting an income rolling. I don't care if it's $20 for a ticket, for a workshop. If you start getting money, then you realize you can produce income, like out of thin air, right? You created it. You can produce income. Now your confidence starts building on your sales because now you're selling and you're producing income. That's the number one thing you should do. So stop taking the time to do all this crap behind the scenes and freaking get out there and sell something. That's like the number one thing. Stop chasing shiny objects. None of them will solve all your problems. AI is amazing. You got to jump on the train or everyone will pass you by. But they chase, and I did the same thing when I started. You know, oh, I'll charge you only $5,000 and I'll help you put together this course. And this person says, oh, I'll charge you this and I'll help you get all the social media bites and we'll video you and do all this stuff. I spent like 30 grand on stuff. Got nothing out of it, like nothing that really helped me. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I love to do the things that make me happy. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to all of this anymore. I'm going to hire a business coach and I'm solely going to have that coach focus on my business, looking at what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, where I'm leaving money on the table, because anyone outside looking in has a whole different perspective of your business. And it's always a good one. And they can always help you change things around very quickly. Any good business coach can do that, you know? So I find women, another mistake, they try and do it on their own. They isolate themselves. They don't join a tribe. They don't want to pay money for coaching. They don't want to invest in anything. Yet they expect people to invest in them, but they refuse to invest in anyone else. Well, money is energy. So if you're refusing to invest in other people, don't expect people to invest in you. Like, you've got to invest in things like retreats and going to conferences and going to 3-day events and learning from other people and joining groups and paying for a membership, you know, to be able to be with other people and being in masterminds. And I created my mastermind because I couldn't find a mastermind that was like more savvy business people. It was all beginners. And I didn't want to sit in a room with a bunch of beginners because that's who I coach. I want to be in a mastermind with women that have already been through that are now scaling their business to the next level. I really want to talk about how to do that. What are my goals? Like, what should I be working on? So I started a mastermind and started bringing in women that I really admired, that I looked up to. And I was like, I want you in my mastermind because I want to learn from you. And I know you can learn from me too. And I really want that to be the people I'm surrounding myself with. So sometimes I create things out of need. And I think we need to listen to ourselves. If you don't like to do it and you get stuck, you create a job for yourself. Mistake number 27. They create a job. And they're just in a job that they created for themselves, making zero money for that job.
Right.
You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you're 100% commission. And when women tell me I hate to sell, I'm like, you just started a business that's 100% commission and you hate to sell? That's all you're doing. Your entire business is selling. So maybe this isn't right for you.
That's right.
And I tell them, like, if you want to clock in and clock out, have your weekends, your holidays, I think that that's fantastic. You can go drive Uber if you want to be an entrepreneur and not, worry about having to sell, because Instacart gives you what you need and you can go get food for people and drop it off. There are a billion ways today that someone can make money without having to go get a job. So I say to those people, go find a way to do that or go get a job. But being an entrepreneur like us is not going to work for you because you're selling yourself every second of every day in every conversation. It's just not skeevy,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just being yourself and enrolling people and being kind and nice and serving them. And then they're like, wow, I really like her. And then they want to hang out and find out more about you and get in your circle. And then before you know it, they're like signing up for something. And that was
That's right.
easy, right? It was an easy
Yeah.
funnel.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah,
love it.
big,
That's so
I could
good.
talk about 50 million mistakes.
Yeah, that's good. Those are good ones. Those are big ones. Overthinking, I love it. You said ready, aim, aim, aim,
Yep.
aim, aim, plan, read, discuss, go down the rabbit hole, aim, 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 aim.
I'm like,
I see
holy
so
crap.
many. Like do
Just
something,
fire
take some
already and
action.
make some money. Yeah.
Any action,
I
messy
have to like
action.
shove my clients into stuff. I'm like, you're doing a
Yes,
summit, you're going to do this, and I'm going to be there to support you, but you're doing it,
that's
and
right.
they don't want to. So I'm like, do you really want to be an entrepreneur? It sounds fun. People
Hmm.
think you're freedom. You don't have to work for someone else. You're working for yourself. I think
Yeah,
that's
you
the
are.
hardest person to work for is yourself and time.
And the boss is a bitch and the employee is lazy and it's like the worst combination ever, but it's all you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it. Tell us about your programs. Who is right? Who are they right for
Yeah.
in your group?
So my community, for one, is right for, and I would say my LEAP program, my coaching that I do. I coach for 1 day, 1 hour, or 90 days, and then people can rehire me after the 90 days. I am an implementer and an activator, hands down. That's what
Okay.
every personality test out there tells me. And I already know that because I light up and I'm really good at activating people and ideas and then implementing them to cash, to make money off of them, right? To build a brand, to build whatever it is you're building. And some women already have businesses and they're like, I just want to do more. I'd really love to do in-person events and you do them all the time. Will you teach me? Yes.
Yeah.
I will absolutely teach you. I don't hold anything close to my vest. Like I will teach them exactly how to run great retreats, how to run masterminds, how to do, any of those things. And so I just say, hire me and let's go. Like I'm happy. I'm not going to do it for free. That my community is basically free because, it's like $47 a month. So it doesn't cost hardly anything. And in that community, they get to do small business owners that are growing their business at any level. They could be brand spanking new, right? They can afford $47 a month because most of them are paying way more than that on all of their Netflix and Hulu and Prime and all of that crap, right? So the way I see it is these programs that I offer are all for female small business owners that are growing a business. They are looking for visibility. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They have ideas. They want to launch them. They don't know how to do it. And I can teach them how to do it. And I've had women come to me and want me to teach them something that I don't know how to do. And I say, I'm not the right person. Like a lot of times people will come to me and say, can I hire you to teach me how to speak? And I am a speaker. I'm a keynote speaker. I get paid to speak on stages, big stages. I get, pay to play. I sell from stage. I create stages, but I will not teach someone how to speak. I refer every single one of them to my favorite speaking coach because I'm not interested. I'm really not. Like, I don't want to teach you how to speak. That's not my bread and butter. It's not what I do great. I learned from that same speaking coach, and I want you to go hire that person in 90 days. You'll be on stage with your, signature speech.
That's
right. So
yeah,
we have to stay. Another mistake. We got to stay in our lanes. I see so many women start a business, and then next thing I know, they're selling like a toothpaste or some other product, and I'm like, what's happening? And then everyone's confused. They're like, I don't know what you do because you're advertising all this stuff, but what do you actually do? No one will hire you if they don't know what you do.
That's right.
They just won't.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. So you have something for the guests today.
I do.
7 ways to step into the spotlight and attract your dream client.
Yeah, I wrote a book on this a couple years ago, and I did it and brought in a bunch of other women that are like experts in speaking, being on stages, Instagram influencing, YouTube, all of these areas. I brought in some doctors to talk about, talk about like boundaries and worthiness and stuff.
Oh, God,
here's the thing. When you build a business, you've got to be visible. So I put together a really quick 2-sheeter that talks about all the different ways that you can get visible now. that doesn't
Right.
take any money that you
Yeah.
can go do for your brand to get visible. So I made it a free download so that I could just help women, just kind of get on that, train of visibility
Yes.
for
Yeah.
themselves, because a lot of them are just scared to get out there, but there's a lot of opportunities for you that you can do things that isn't always a live video.
Awesome. I
You
love
know?
that. We will have the link to that in the show notes. And
Awesome.
where can someone connect with you? What's the fastest way and easiest way to find you if they want to connect with you, join your programs or your group?
Obviously, my website's the fastest way. If you go to colleenbiggs.net, I don't know who owns colleenbiggs.com, honestly, because there is no other Colleen Biggs on Google. You Google me, Colleen Biggs. I am the only one for like 8 pages and everything
my
I've done.
gosh.
Seriously, I don't know who the other Colleen Biggs is, but it's not for sale and it's not active. So
Dang
if
it.
that
If you are
Colleen Biggs is
ColleenBiggs.com,
listening,
please call
I
the
want
show. We
I
need
want
your
it.
domain. I know.
So
I'm
I'm
amysingleton.net
colleenbiggs.net.
also. I'm
Yeah.
in the same boat as you. The .com wasn't there either. And I'm like, really? Who is
I should have just
amysingleton.com?
bought like the Colleen
The
Biggs.
Colleen Biggs. That's right.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Because
that's
that
it.
just says I'm the one out there.
that's it.
So they can Google me or, obviously my website.
Yeah.
And on my website right away, you can join my newsletter to get to know me a little bit more. You can book a call with me from the homepage at the very top, right away if you want to get to know me. And you can also just like kind of peruse around, look at the blog. See the types of events I run. It is I do work with women only. It's very
Okay.
rare that I work with men. A lot of men will reach out to me and ask to have a call with me, which I do. And I love having those calls, especially if it's a summit and there's men there and they're like, hey, I bought the VIP and I really want to get that coaching call. Those are some of my favorite calls that I have. But I really feel like I've been chosen to work with women. And so that's why I do it. Yeah.
I love that. Man, thank you so much for this conversation, for your absolute wisdom. And thank you for being a queen that leads.
The Queens Lead podcast is recorded worldwide and produced by the kick-ass media team at the Height Digital home base in Nicaragua. Until our next episode, stay real, Queens, and go lead. Remember to tap that follow and leave your review. For freebies and more real, inspiring content you love, go to amysingleton.net. and connect with Amy on our socials at The Real Amy Singleton.
One more thing. This is the legal language, what my lawyer wrote and what I need to read to you. This podcast is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am Amy Singleton, and I'm just your friend. Although I may speak to many on this show, I am not a psychotherapist, a business coach, a doctor, a CPA, a lawyer, or probably anyone who should be giving you professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for a relationship with your doctor, coach, or any other licensed professional. Got it? Good. Now go be a queen and follow me at The Real Amy Singleton.